Okay, so I promised a podcast style video in the description of one of my shorts about how the first day of turkey season went. Um, Actually went really good. I don't turkey hunt a whole lot. I'm more of a deer hunter, but you know, since I have turkey tags, might as well go and try to get one. Right? We go opening day. Gonna be 100% honest. We don't take it super serious. Uh, it's just a fun time out with the family. In case you're wondering what I'm drinking, this is good old Texas sweet tea. Um, but so my dad wasn't able to make it due to health reasons. So me and my younger daughter, youngest daughter, um, we were the ones who went out. We had a great time. We got there Friday before the opener and set up the blind, did a little bit of fishing, set up camp, had us a good old time. Got up early Saturday, hopped up in our little pop up. Um, we knew birds were in the area, and lo and behold, right at first light, pow, hear a gobble. It's like, yeah, we're in them. A couple minutes later, we hear another gobble from a lot further away. Then another one answered halfway in between those two. So I had like three birds all gobbling and calling. So I let out some calls. Um, Took some video that I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I'm not going to release. You can't hear the gobbles. All it is interviews, and you'll figure out the rest of the story here in a minute. So we're sitting there, and I'm doing some light tree yelps, and they're gobbling whatever. So I go quiet for a while. They keep gobbling, and it was kind of cool that morning, so I wasn't wearing a ball cap like I normally do. I was wearing a beanie to stay warm. My daughter, on the other hand, was wearing a ball cap. So I took her ball cap, I made some noises like a bird flying down. I was calling, working these birds, and they started coming to us. And I thought for sure opening day I was gonna get me a turkey. And the issue was, as our blind was set up on one side of the road, because I know that turkeys like to roost in a certain tree in the area that we hunt. And to be honest with you, there might have been some turkeys roosted over there. If there was, I never knew it. All the gobblers were just on the other side of the road, which was, what would you say, Emma? About 60 yards from the blind. Yeah. So, I'm trying to get them to cross the road and come over to where I'm at. And I mean, they were coming. And, I kept looking back at my daughter. I was like, they're coming. Come on, get ready. We're going to get one. They're coming. And all of a sudden, right at prime time, right at first light, truck comes running down the road. And I look over and I tell her, I was like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, there's a good chance that truck just ran off these birds that we were working. So I waited a couple minutes and I let loose a couple more calls, and wow, they start gobbling again. Man, my glasses are really crooked. But anyway, they start gobbling again. It's like, okay, we still got a chance. Talked to them a little bit. They were staying put. Talked to them a little bit more. They start working back towards us. And I was like, all right, here we go. Here comes another truck down the road. Man, no way they're staying after two trucks. So I look over at my daughter and it's like, all right, so what do you want to do? We got to come up with a game plan. Probably going to have to abandon the blind and do some run and gun. She's like, yeah, we can do that. And I was like, well, let's give it a few minutes and see. They start gobbling again. And I was like, yeah, we still got a chance. Called to them some more. Couldn't get them to move the third time, after the second truck. But they were still gobbling. And I was hoping, And then here comes another truck. Except instead of turning down the road and going to the parking lot of the public piece where we were hunting, he parks right there at the corner junction 60 yards from the blind. No way there's no way to call the birds past that truck like that. That's it. That spot's done. So we walk out. As we're walking out, the guy who parked there was like, oh, no luck. And I was like, well, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't the nicest person, but I don't think I was a complete and total jerk. I was like, well, I was working 4 birds until, everybody decided to start driving through right at prime time. Yeah, everybody and their dog. Some people may not understand that saying, all right? My daughter's chiming in. But anyway, so wasn't super nice to the guy. My temper was a little flared, but I don't think I was a complete and total jerk. And I just told him, I was like, I was working 4 birds until everybody, started driving by right during prime time and stuff like that. And, he apologized for ruining our hunt and then turned and asked, he's like, well, is that your pop-up blind sitting right there? And it's like, well, what do you think? So just a little tip for anybody who's new to public land, okay? If you can see somebody's pop-up blind, please be courteous. Back out. Let them have the spot, please. They beat you there. That's what I do. Very rarely do I set up a pop-up blind. But if you have a blind set and you're on public land, get to your blind early, first of all. Second of all, if you're hunting public land and you see somebody has a blind, please be courteous and back out. Don't ruin their hunt. Because if it wouldn't have been for that guy, I might have shot a turkey. I mean, I can't say that I would have, but we might have had a turkey within the first couple hours of daylight of opening day. Instead, here we are hiking back to camp. And we get back to camp, and where we were hunting, now I only bow hunt. I don't hunt with firearms. But where we were hunting, they do allow hunting with shotguns for turkey, deer, whatever. It is a gun area. And so we get back to camp, and I'm trying to talk to my daughter, come up with a game plan on how we're going to start doing some run and gun. And, all of a sudden we hear, blow, blow. It's like, well, those birds that we were calling to and working a couple, hours ago, one, if not more, just got shot, I bet you. And we were sitting there, and it's like, okay, well, we can keep going down the road, where we kind of heard some turkeys back off that way too, or thought about it for a second. I said, we brought boats. We brought a canoe and a kayak. We can hop in the canoe and the kayak. We can go across the river where there's probably not that many people, because we were the only people I saw with boats. So what do you want to do? She goes, let's hop on the boats. Let's cross the river. It's like, yeah, I think that's the right thing to do. So we hop on the boats, cross the river. We get right up the bank edge, super thick vegetation where we're busting through, we pull the boats up on the banks. We get maybe 20 yards up into the first. I'll call it a clearing. It was the edge territory between some willows and then going into the thicker, nastier, thornier bush of West Texas. Hmm?
You said thickier.
She's making fun of my speech now. Thicker, you happy? Thornier bush of West Texas. Which, if you ain't familiar with the territory, it's mesquite. I mean, it's no fun to walk through. Even though I do it all the time. It's got thorns. It'll puncture your tire. It's pain, but you know. So we get in this clearing, and I let out a couple calls. I was like, let's just see if we can strike up a bird. Bow! Turkey gobbles. I mean, and he's right on top of us. Couldn't have been more than 50 yards. So we're scrambling, trying to find a place to sit down. And so we back up into these willows, sit down. I've got my bow sitting there. And I call to him. He gobbles. I call to him. He gobbles. Well, then a hen started chirping in a little ways downriver. Upriver? Upriver. She started calling. And for whatever reason, that turkey that I was calling to thought she sounded a lot better than we did. So he started working off that direction. And call to him. He gobbles. So we start chasing. It's like we're in the bubble. If we chase him, maybe we can get him to peel off that hen. Because, natural turkeys naturally, the way that they work is the male gobbles and the hen actually comes to the male. What we do when we turkey hunt, we're actually trying to go backwards from nature because we're making female turkey sounds trying to get the males to come to us. So I'm hoping that by chasing him down a little bit, he'll break off what he's hearing and come to us. And we go through a couple of different setups. We chase that bird for how long do you think?
Yeah, about like an hour, maybe.
I'd say more than an hour.
Like
I'd say we chase that bird for a solid probably 2 hours minimum and about half a mile. I measured it on X. It was about half a mile. By the way, not paid. I'm not sponsored by anybody, but I will say that if you are hunting public land, and honestly, even your private land on X, great app. I've used a couple other hunt apps. I've used Hunt Stand. One more, but I can't remember what it was. And out of all of them, OnX has been my favorite. It's easier to use. It's reasonably priced. They have some really cool features. If you do get OnX, I highly recommend you like getting on their YouTube channel or whatever else to learn how to use some of their features because they got some really cool stuff that isn't 100% clear cut on how to use it, fresh out of the box. But great app. Once again, not sponsored. I pay full price for all my stuff, minus the discount codes that some of the other creators may put out there. Big shout out to the THP guys. Love you guys. But I do highly recommend that app. So anyway, so we chase this bird for like half a mile. I look at my daughter. I say, "Hey, we got two choices. Keep chasing this bird." Well, I guess we really had three choices, but I only presented two of them. We could have tried to strike up a different bird, but I wasn't even thinking that at that point in time. I told my daughter, I said, "Look, we can keep chasing this bird, or we can go back to camp, have some lunch, do a little bit of fishing, try to go back out this evening." She goes, "Well, let's go to camp, have lunch, hop on the boats, and do some fishing." All right, cool. So that's what we did. We went back to camp, had lunch, hopped on the boats, did a little bit of fishing, caught a couple fish, uh, caught a couple keepers. So we got to a point where it's like, all right, let's take take the boats, get back to camp, let's fry up our fresh fish dinner. A lot better than freeze dry. Um, and we'll decide what we're gonna do from there. Had us a great fresh fish, had us some fried fish. It was great. Great time with my daughter. And I asked her, I said, look, we could fish more, or we could go try to chase some turkeys. 100% up to you. What do you want to do? She goes, well, Dad, I want to get on the boot, on the boots. I want to get on the boats and fish more. It's like, okay, cool. So we'll fish tonight and we'll hunt tomorrow morning. And so we go down, we're getting on the boats and go to launch the kayak. And I was wearing waterproof boots. She was not. And this was her first time on a kayak ever. So I was kind of letting her sit in the kayak and I'd push her off the bank and launch for her. And where we were launching, it was pretty steep and, kind of scary. And she was launching backwards and I'm pushing the kayak into the water and it starts tipping. And it tips more and more. And I'm pushing on the edge trying to, what's up, buddy? Sorry, my son's over here trying to see what we're doing. But I'm pushing on the edge trying to keep her from tipping. She just kept leaning that way, and I'm fighting her. And, well, lo and behold, boop, there she goes into the water. I'm laughing. It's funny. Get her out of the boat. I tell her to go change clothes. Put on some dry clothes. Hang your wet clothes in the sun. Hopefully they'll dry out. So she goes up to camp, changes. I stay by the boats, getting all the gear squared up. And she comes back down in dry clothes, get her launched without a hitch. I push my canoe down into the water and I run into instant karma because I go to climb in my canoe and I was a little bit closer to the shelf than I thought, because right there where it was at, you have about an area that was probably 2 or 3 feet wide, where it's about a foot and a half deep, and then it instantly goes to like 3 feet deep. Well, apparently I fell off the shelf a little bit. I go to get in the canoe and I tip the freaking canoe. So now we're both wet. Thankfully, I didn't take the full dive that my daughter did.
At least I was wearing a life vest.
That is true. And, what? You'd have been laughing if you'd have been there. Anyway, so the thing about that is she was wearing her camo when she went for a swim, and she only has one set of camo. And I wasn't about to have her out there, running around bushwhacking while it was cool and the wind was blowing in wet clothes. So that was pretty much the end of our hunt. But honestly, not that big of a deal. It doesn't bother me. We had a great morning, opening morning. She got to hear some turkeys, which last year we saw some turkeys,
None of them were
but
calling.
they weren't talking at all. So it was really cool to watch the property that we hunt, them be more vocal, more active. Unfortunately, we didn't get one. Maybe by the grace of God, I might get a chance to go out there and chase them again. We still got a couple more weeks of season, but I can't guarantee that. My life is busy and hectic. But no, we're not stopping. We're recording right now.
Cut.
No, not cut. Anyway, my son over here is trying to be director now. Anyway, so that was the story of it. part of the reason that I wanted to do this little podcast style video is one, to get more content to you guys. Two, I really want to emphasize, guys, get out there and take your kids. Like my daughter, well, my younger daughter, absolutely loves it. She loves to go out there. She loves to hunt. She loves to fish. She likes to hike. She likes watching and looking at all the stuff. I mean, we got some crazy stories. Put in the comments if you want to hear some of those stories. Maybe we'll talk about a couple more of them in the, podcast style video like this. Just a little teaser out there. Last year while we were turkey hunting, she had a lizard fall on her head out of a tree. There's a story.
No. It fell on my cushion, not my head. Well, it hit my head.
Same thing. It was close enough to your head. Anyway, so we do have some stories. Sorry I haven't put out like a whole lot of hunting videos. I am not a good videographer. I'm trying to learn how to use the camera to tell a story. By the way, this is my son, half peeking the camera here. Stay out here, bud. But I'm working on learning how to get better at that and using the camera to tell the story without having to tell the story myself. Also need some new equipment, or some more equipment for that as well, to get better shots and stuff like that. I'm looking into getting some action cameras that I can put on my chest, or get different camera angles. I got a couple of different things that I'm looking into and working, so bear with me, guys. I promise you, those of y'all who subscribe and stay with me from the roots will eventually, hopefully, we'll get big enough to where we can start doing some extra stuff. I've got a couple things that I'm working on some other businesses outside of my full-time job that I'm planning on incorporating into the YouTube channel. So hopefully I can come up with some products. It's all a process and a journey to get to where we would like to be, and I can't do that without y'all. So do me a favor, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and let me know in the comments kind of what videos you like, what videos you don't like, what kind of content you would like. We're going to be working on, at some point this summer, me and my daughter are going to work on some fishing videos. I might do some bass fishing videos because I do a lot of that. And we're also going to do some basic live bait fishing, showing basic knots, things like that. Just the whole goal behind that series is going to be to demonstrate the ease of being able to get out and get your kids outdoors and involved in conservation in the outdoors. So stay tuned for that. It'll be a lot of fun. If everything works out, maybe we'll do some catch and cook videos. What do you think?
Yes.
Catch some fish, cook them up, put all that on camera, hopefully give y'all something cool to watch. So I've got a couple of different projects in the works. With all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go. If you stayed this long, I really appreciate it. Like I said, if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button, throw me a like, and put in the comments, tell me what you might want to hear me talk about. What kind of videos you may like. So, till next time, I'll holler at you later.